One of the most common questions a growing business asks is deceptively simple. Can I use more than one grant? You tapped the scheme once, it helped, and now you are wondering whether you are even allowed to reach for another or whether doing so quietly disqualifies you. The honest answer is usually yes, over time and within rules, but those rules matter enormously, and getting them wrong can cause real problems later. So in the next few minutes, we will unpack how businesses combine support responsibly, the difference between stacking and sequencing, and the one golden rule you must never break. One important note before we start: this channel is educational only. We are not a government agency. We are not affiliated with or endorsed by Go Business Enterprise Singapore or any government body, and nothing here is official advice. Scheme names, the rules on combining support, and all the fine print change over time, so we will keep this to the big picture and always point you to the official source, gobusiness.gov.sg, to confirm the current details for your situation before you rely on any of it. The honest answer: let us clear up the fear first, because plenty of owners assume that taking one grant locks them out of everything else, and that simply is not how it usually works. Most businesses that grow steadily draw on several forms of support across their journey, not a single one and done application. That is by design, because a business has many different needs at different moments, and no single scheme was ever meant to cover all of them. So it is entirely normal and usually allowed to use more than one over time. But there is a crucial difference between combining support thoughtfully and trying to pile funding onto the same thing at once, and the latter runs straight into rules designed to prevent it. So the real question is not, can I get more than one? It is, how do I combine them properly? And that is what the rest of this video is about. The golden rule: no double funding. Underneath every rule about combining support sits one simple principle. And if you remember nothing else, remember this: the same cost cannot be paid for twice by two different sources. That is called double funding, or double dipping a single expense, and it is a genuine problem, not a gray area. If one form of support helps cover a particular piece of equipment, a specific consultant's fee, or one defined slice of a project, you cannot then claim that very same cost again from another scheme. Each dollar of each expense may be supported once and only once. This is not a technicality to be clever around. It is the line that separates legitimate combining from something that can unravel your funding and credibility later. Everything else we discuss, stacking, sequencing, roadmaps, is really the art of using several schemes while keeping every cost cleanly attached to exactly one of them. Hold that principle firmly, and most of the confusion disappears. Stacking versus sequencing. There are two very different ways to use more than one grant, and confusing them is where a lot of trouble starts, so let us name them clearly. Stacking means using different schemes at roughly the same time, each supporting a different part or a different cost within one bigger effort. Picture a single ambitious project made of several distinct pieces, where each piece is matched to the support designed for it. Sequencing means using different support at different stages of your growth, spread across months or years as your business moves from one need to the next. One is about breadth at a single moment, the other is about a journey over time. Both are usually acceptable when done honestly, and both live comfortably within the golden rule, because in each case a given cost is still only ever supported once. The mistake is blurring them into a vague sense that more grants simply means more money, rather than seeing each as a deliberate, well-fitted match of support to need. Why schemes are built to be different. Here is the idea that makes combining support possible in the first place. Different schemes exist to encourage different kinds of things, and because their purposes genuinely differ, they can complement each other rather than compete. In broad terms, some support is oriented toward building internal capability, helping a business become more capable or productive. Some is oriented toward reaching beyond home shores, expanding into overseas markets. Some is oriented toward people, encouraging hiring, training, or developing a team's skills. Because these aim at fundamentally different outcomes, a business pursuing a broad transformation can legitimately touch more than one, since it may genuinely need to build a capability, train its people, and reach a new market, all as part of the same growth push. The complementarity is not a loophole, it is the intended design. Just remember that exactly what each scheme is meant for is defined officially, so confirm the current purpose and scope on gobusiness.gov.sg. How stacking works in practice. Let us make stacking concrete with a plain picture, keeping numbers out of it. Imagine a business modernizing how it operates. One part of that effort is putting in a new system to run the business better, which is fundamentally about capability. A separate part is training the team so they can actually use that system well, which is about people and skills. And the third part is taking the improved operation into a new overseas market, which is about expansion. Three distinct pieces, three kinds of need, potentially three sources of support, each matched to the piece it was designed for. The discipline that keeps this clean is simple. Every cost sits under exactly one scheme with no expense straddling two. The system cost belongs to one place, the training cost to another, the market entry cost to a third, and none of them overlaps. Done this way, stacking is not gaming anything, it is just assembling the right support for each genuinely different part of one honest project. How sequencing works over time. Sequencing is the same principle told across time, rather than across parts, and for many businesses it is the more natural pattern. Early on, your need might be foundational, building a core capability or getting a basic system in place so the business can stand on firmer ground. Once that is stable and you have grown into it, a new need appears, perhaps expanding into a market you were not ready for before. Later still, as demand builds, the pressing need might become people, hiring and training a larger team to sustain what you have built. Each stage carries a different need, and therefore a genuinely different fit to a different kind of support drawn on at the moment it actually makes sense. This is why sequencing feels less like a scheme and more like a story, a business maturing step by step. You are not collecting grants, you are meeting real needs in the order they truly show up. Build a grant roadmap. All of this becomes far easier if you plan ahead, and the tool for that is what we might call a grant roadmap. Instead of reacting to whatever support you happen to hear about, start from your own growth plan, the honest sequence of things your business needs to do over the next stretch of its life. Lay those needs out in rough order, the capability to build first, the market to reach later, the team to grow after that. Only then, with your real needs on the table, ask which kind of support fits each one and roughly when. This keeps you need first rather than money first, which is exactly the mindset that produces credible applications and avoids invented projects. A roadmap also helps you see early where two ambitions might overlap and need separating. Treat it as a living sketch, not a fixed contract, and because the schemes and their rules shift over time, always check the current landscape on gobusiness.gov.sg before you commit. Watch out for overlapping scope. Now the watchouts, because combining support has a few specific traps, and the first is overlapping scope. This is the danger zone where two schemes could each be read as covering the same slice of work, and it is precisely where the double funding rule bites. It often happens innocently, when a project is described loosely and a single activity could plausibly belong to either of two applications. The fix is to draw clean, deliberate boundaries between what each source supports, so there is never ambiguity about which cost lives where. If two schemes seem to touch the same work, that is a signal to separate the pieces more clearly or to clarify the split before you proceed rather than after. An assessor should be able to look at your combination and see immediately that nothing is being funded twice. When the boundaries are crisp, overlap is not a problem, but when they are fuzzy, it is exactly the kind of thing that surfaces later at the worst possible moment. Mind the timing and claim windows. The second watchout is timing, which trips up more businesses than you might expect. Support does not float in an open-ended way. It tends to come with windows, moments when you can apply, periods within which costs must be incurred, and windows during which claims must be made. When you combine more than one form of support, these timing rules can interact in ways that are easy to miss, and a sequence that seemed obvious can run into an approval that must happen before a certain cost, or a claim that must land inside a particular period. Get the order or the timing wrong, and you can lose the ability to use support you would otherwise have qualified for, not because your project was weak, but because the calendar did not line up. So never assume the timing simply works, especially across multiple schemes. Map out when each step must happen and confirm the actual windows and sequencing on the official source before you lock your plans in place. Always declare other support. The third watch out is the simplest to state and the most important to honor. Always declare the other support you have received or applied for. Applications commonly ask about this directly, precisely because the system needs to see the full picture to ensure nothing is being funded twice. Answer completely and truthfully, listing what you have applied for and what supports which cost. This is not a trap to catch you out. It is the mechanism that lets you combine support legitimately in the first place. The real danger is never honest disclosure. It is the temptation to stay quiet about other help in the hope of squeezing out a little more, because non-declaration is what turns an ordinary combination into something that can genuinely rebound on you. Honesty here is not merely the ethical choice, it is the practical one, the thing that keeps your record clean and your future applications trusted. When in doubt, declare more, not less. A closing reminder. So, can you use more than one grant? Usually yes, over time and within the rules, provided you respect the one line that governs it all: no single cost funded twice. Combined by stacking different parts of one effort, or by sequencing support across your stages of growth, always matching a genuine need to the scheme designed for it. Plan a roadmap from your real growth plan, watch for overlapping scope, mind the timing and claim windows, and declare every other form of support openly, because honesty is what protects you. None of this is a promise that you qualify for anything or that any application will be approved. We are not affiliated with any government agency, and we cannot secure or guarantee any grant for you. The exact rules on combining support are set officially, and they change, so before you plan around any of this, confirm the current details for your situation on gobusiness.gov.sg and the relevant agency page. If this made a confusing question feel a little clearer, subscribe for more plain English Singapore grant explainers, and we will keep turning these schemes into plain English, one step at a time.